So the unboxing video for this piece was a huge success. You guys loved it, but you're going to need to know a lot more because that was just my first impressions. This Cadisen C8200G, is it any good? Does it accept different straps? Is it a strap monster? Is it something you can go, well, the bracelet doesn't work for me, I'll put it on one of Dan Dodson's straps from his business. We're going to find that all out in this video, but you're also going to find out anything else I may have discovered during my process of reviewing this piece. And you just get to see some more pretty pictures as well. Hope you enjoy. I'll see you in a moment after you see the stats and specs. So here it is, and there will be a strap show later. And what we're going to do first of all is, like I always like to do, is share with you the things I think are worth criticising about this piece. First thing I'm going to criticise, this is ever so slightly too tight for me. I've sized this bracelet up. It's one of those downsides you get with a butterfly clasp when there's no half links. That's the first thing. For me, I'm happy with it being ever so slightly tight, but I reckon on a summer's day, this possibly would be unbearable. It was fine for me wearing on a cold day, but worth noting. Next up, the loom, although attractive, well applied, nice colour, and last, okay, it's still a little bit of a weak spot, but at least they're improving. They are getting better with their loom application and the longevity in which it lasts on these Cadisens. Next thing we're going to discuss is the screw down crown is totally fine and easy to unscrew and do up. Many people would say that it could be tricky. It's actually totally fine. The only thing I don't like is the feel of the crown winding. The feel of when you pull it out, irrespective if I've got gloves on or not, it's quite stiff to pull out on this one. It's not that bad, it's just more the feel of engaging between the date setting and the time setting doesn't feel very precise, feels a little bit weird. And while we're talking about the movement, I've said it before many times, if you've never seen me before, I'll repeat myself, but these Myotas, as good as they are, this one's running quite nicely at +6 a day average overall. After having it a while, I've timed it, checked it, it's all good. The thing I still don't like is the occasional rotor wobble you get, but on this watch, you don't really notice it, but it's still ever so slightly a downside because I do like my NH35s in comparison to this, purely because it's just more refined. Now, the slight criticism is effectively to do with this bracelet again. If you've got a smaller wrist than me, you will be struggling because I do have a 7-inch wrist and this just about is okay for this effective lug to lug. As I said in the stats and specs, it's about 57mm, which is from there to there before it starts to conform. But the actual lug to lug, if you took this off its bracelet, it's only about 46. So if you could put this on loads of different straps, it would wear really well for many people. It is a 40mm case size, but it's a shame that this area here is just a little bit odd, but it's better than the previous options where you didn't really have any choice at all. So this is a huge step in the right direction, but it's still a bit flawed. Next little thing, again, minor, ever so slightly sharp edges, but that is very minor considering the nature of this design and this chunkiness you get and the way you get these slab sides to help play with the light. As you can see there, it's really nice, almost industrial looking. Just if you're fiddling with the watch like we all like to do, hopefully that's all you fiddle with, you'll notice just a few little rough edges. After that, I am actually struggling to find anything to criticize because they've got so many things right with this piece. I think it's a huge step in the right direction, and this is the first positive, and that is the individual design. Like I said in the thumbnail, this has apparently been designed by a German person. This is a really big question. Is this the start of a new trend that the Chinese homage watchmakers are going to still offer us watches around £100 or less, hopefully, you know, with all these great specifications that you get here, but with unique designs, not just carbon copies with a different logo on the dial, which is damaging our reputation as watch lovers somewhat. We don't care really, we just want the best value for money. What better to get a watch like this? There's still great value for money, but it's going to have individual design. So moving on from that, design wise, while we're on the topic of design, I really love this fume dial, and fume is when it goes from light to dark, but it's also teaked, which is effectively these lines on the dial which replicate the teaked decks you would get on posh boats and yachts. And I love that. It just looks gorgeous. It looks really interesting the way it plays with the light, and this color was very on trend. I mean, earlier part of last year, this kind of moss green was hugely on trend in the luxury segment. Then it's become Tiffany blue now, but I'd still say that this is a gorgeous colour regardless of trends and what's in or out of fashion. It's just a lovely earthy colour, very well executed, no imperfections anywhere. If you look really close, I've examined this under macro, no fluff or anything like that, really well manufactured. It's been made in a clean environment. These are all things that I would like to see when I'm buying a watch at any price, but it's even better when you get it on a watch that's only about £100. I think the date window's been well integrated in there. It can sometimes look like an eyesore, but it's subtle, well integrated. They haven't gone to town framing it or putting a cyclops over it and make a big fuss over it. It's nice, it just blends in there nicely. It's useful on a day-to-day watch, which I would like to think this is, because specification wise it is a fabulous day-to-day watch. 100 meters water resist, it's got sapphire for scratch resistance, it's got reasonable enough lume, obviously a date complication. It does everything you would want in a day-to-day wear watch. That's again subject to it fitting you really well because of this bracelet. It's quite chunky, by the way. I just want to drop in another slight negative, is it's relatively heavy for a 40mm watch. I mean, size down to me, I have an average wrist 7 inches. This watch weighs 167, nearly 170 grams, which is a lot. I mean, I've had watches bigger than this with better dive capabilities, etc. that weigh nearly 150. Again, on a solid bracelet, because this is quite a chunky piece that adds to its weight. So overall, yes, I think specification fabulous, build quality, that's the next thing. I'd just say overall the build quality is fantastic. Everything lines up, there's no squiffy bits, everything is just neat and tidy. You don't think this is a £100 watch. It is really that good. The brushing is super smooth, really neatly done. It's better than the previous Cadisen that they've done previously. They were a lot bigger and chunkier than this. This is an evolution of that design, and the build quality is definitely better. The brushing, definitely underneath here. It used to be quite coarse on the underside of the previous models. It's really smooth here. Some of the best brushing I've seen at this price point. So what we're going to move on to now, the gloves are off, because I need to take this bracelet off and show you how it can work if you didn't like this bracelet and wanted it to fit on a few other bits, what kind of things you're limited to. So additional note, first of all, I like to include how easy was it to take the bracelet off. Very easy on this piece. Let's move on to another thing, why this is an issue. Look at this gap here. That is supposed to be the gap that you have between your strap and the case. That's why it's a problem. It's such a shame. That is so narrow. I'm going to show you a strap, which I think might end up being the only one that's going to fit this watch comfortably. And that is this ultra thin silicone Nato. Again, these sell extremely well because they're thin and they're single pass as well, so you don't have any extra bulk, and they're flexible and very, very comfortable. Great for hot days because if your wrist swells a bit, the watch strap has some give to it, so you don't get uncomfortable. So let's see if this actually fits, or am I going to trash my beautiful strap? Now, just to give you an idea, this is very tight. I've managed to get it in. I'm having to pull quite hard for it to fit through. I know there is another way you can do this, and that is to place the strap over the watch and pop the spring bars in afterwards, but that's not the normal way to do it. That's not what we should be doing, really. You ideally want to leave the spring bars in, like I've done, and just feed it through. So if you want to do a strap change, it's quite easy to then undo, but I'm just showing you now how this is a bit tricky. So the good news is it does fit. Everything works okay. So let's get this on wrist and see how it looks. There we have it. I am not 100% sure. Obviously, I find this strap really comfortable. It fits really well, and now the watch feels ultra light on my wrist. There's no wobble or play or anything like that. As you can see, it all fits really neatly. The watch is quite chunky, and having only ability to fit a very thin strap on it immediately makes it look like it's just a nugget on your wrist. You know, there's not anything to help balance out the way the watch proportionally looks on the wrist. But I mean, that's just my personal taste. The only other options are I do black, blue, grey and orange, but it does fit. The happy news is there is an option out there. Nato wise, you're going to be struggling. In fact, I'm going to give it a go just to be sure. So this is the technique I mentioned earlier, where you would lay the strap on like this and then have to put the bars in afterwards. This is one of the slimmer Natos I sell. I just can't get that spring bar to engage. That's a no. Same with the perlon. I'm gutted because I think this would look great. It's just even this thin perlon is too thick to fit in there properly. Only option you've got is one of these. So in summary, yes, it's a great piece, but you're going to be limited, unfortunately, still with the strap options. It fits me fine. It's ever so slightly too tight, but not enough for it to be a problem. But putting on different straps, it's not as easy as you think. A little bit of frustration that they've made it so you can change the bracelet out to a strap, but you're limited in choice. Overall, I'm still so impressed that for around your £100, you're getting what is a hybrid blend of many different watches, many different inspirations, so successfully for this price point, and it's been beautifully made with a really good specification, apart from maybe the more clunky, basic, old-fashioned movement. And if you just hate them so much, obviously walk away. But for many of us, they are reliable, they do a great job, and they won't let you down. If I haven't let you down today and you've enjoyed the video, check out one of my others. I hope you enjoy it. Just click on one of the other videos. And if you enjoy my videos and you haven't subscribed yet, please do. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye for now.